dear friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara, and today we're going to be going over Ascendant in the 8th house in Synastry. So this video is for you if you are experiencing maybe your Ascendant in somebody else's 8th house, or maybe their Ascendant is in your 8th house. Or if you're a cross watcher, welcome as well. So in terms of Synastry, basically the whole concept here is to see what is going on energetically between the two individuals. Now, with the 8th house deals with all things that are hidden. It deals with sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. It also deals with power and control, and it also deals with the destruction of the ego. I know that sounds a little bit intense, but it does deal with the death and rebirth process, especially in this case where the Ascendant is the expression of the self. The Ascendant is the energy we put out there toward the world. Sometimes it's our first impression, absolutely can be how we appear as well to others in a physical sense. And also on top of that, sometimes the Ascendant can be the direction we are heading in this lifetime. So when the Ascendant comes into the 8th house in Synastry, well, first of all, it depends to see what's going on with the two individuals. Because let's say both individuals are 8th house types of people, or they have Pluto aspects in their chart, or they have a lot of Scorpio energy in their chart. Well, in this case, this might be a very familiar dynamic because you're already used to the energy. But let's say you have never experienced this type of dynamic before, whether it's in your own energy field or whether it's with another person, or sometimes even with the transits, people go through these types of transits where they do go through a transformation. Let's say you've never experienced anything like this before and you come in contact now with the 8th house person. Well, first of all, the 8th house energy kind of feels like a vortex energetically. Kind of feels like it is pulling you in. You feel like you can't stay away from this person. You could be super attracted to them, not to mention super sexually attracted. Now, with a lot of these 8th house videos, what I have been saying is although a lot of the time there is a lot of sexual energy present, it could appear, let's say in platonic dynamics, let's say it's with a friend or a coworker, or even let's say in families as well. Sometimes you might see these 8th house dynamics taking place because it could be, let's say, karmic things that are being cleared within the family line, for example. But I'll get to that in just a second. Let's say this is the sexual type of dynamic that a lot of people do tend to notice when it comes to 8th house Synastry. There's a lot of sexual energy that's present between the two people. Well, in this case, especially because it's the Ascendant and the 8th house as well, you're definitely going to be very attracted to each other in this particular situation. A lot of sexual attraction between the two people because there are different types of attraction, of course. So in this case, there's going to be this huge sexual energy, this huge pull. It could kind of feel like you've never experienced this before. It could feel very intense. Energetically, you can feel very magnetic, and a lot of the time, because it is the 8th house is pulling the Ascendant person toward them. Sometimes when I look at this energy, kind of feels energetically, just like psychically, the way that I see it, kind of like this like web is being weaved by like the little spider to pull and catch the quote-unquote prey. Now obviously it's not going to be that type of dynamic, although sometimes if it's super toxic and super shadowy, it could go into that energy as well. Because the thing is, the 8th house, there's so much to talk about when it comes to the 8th house. Yes, I know most people, when they stumble upon these videos, they are looking probably for answers to see like, why are they so obsessed with someone? Why do they feel so drawn to someone? Why is there this intense attraction between this person? That's probably where the research begins. But the thing is, like with the 8th house, it's on a range because it is the shadow energy. It is the shadow self. It's going to be the hidden self as well. Well, in that particular case, it depends what's going on with the two people. Have they acknowledged their shadows? Have they allowed these things to come to the surface to be explored? Did they even know that those energies were there? So it depends what's going on, because the shadow energy of the 8th house overall is going to be power and control. It could be ego battles and like ego types of dynamics taking place. Like I mentioned, it's going to be a huge destruction and breakdown of the ego, especially in the case with the Ascendant, because the Ascendant is kind of like the outer appearance. I don't want to say it's superficial, not always, but it depends what's going on within the person. That's the thing with these Synastry energies. It always depends what's going on within the individual. Let's say neither of these two people have had anything take place in terms of these 8th house relationships or within themselves, or let's say within a transit, like they've never experienced this before. Everything has just kind of been things that are chilling at the surface, maybe one-dimensional types of situations and conversations and these types of things. Now these two people come into contact with each other. Well, it depends. Sometimes in Synastry, they're going to say the 8th house person feels it more. Sometimes they're going to say the other person feels it more. At the end of the day, it's energy is really what that is. Because it is the 8th house person is pulling the other person to them. But it's like the 8th house energy could be the energy that pulls you in, but at the same time, it's like energy is energy at the end of the day. So it's going to be present amongst the two people. So it could be happening for one or both of the parties in this particular case, because the sexual energy is there. And the thing is, with sexual energy, you guys kind of have to look at it as like it's a sacral chakra. So when there's a lot of sexual energy that's present, a lot of people don't really understand sexual energy. Yes, you guys can go into the physical aspect of things, like that could be one manifestation of it, but sometimes the energy is present between two people, and it's like because sexual energy is healing energy, with the energy just being present there, or even like the sexual tension, or just like in general, the energy is there, maybe it's unspoken. Regardless, with it being there, it's like it's already kind of doing its thing. It's already starting to work on basically whatever is chilling at the base of the spine and starting to bring all those things out and bring it to the surface. And the thing is, if you do get intimate with this person in the physical sense, well, then everything is going to be amplified times 500 is basically what that is, because it's like all these things are just like coming to the surface now, things that have not necessarily been looked at, resolved, anything that is chilling at the base of the spine. That's kind of how that sexual energy works. So it's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for change if you are willing to step into that energy. It depends. Again, how evolved are the two people? How strong is the ego? How willing are the two people to work on themselves? Because the thing is, when you look at it, even if you look at the sign in here, it's like the ascendant is going to be kind of like that superficial energy of the sign is really what it is. It's kind of like the fun, lighthearted energy. You can kind of look at it this way if it hasn't been explored yet. I'm just speaking about it in that sense. And then the A house version of that energy is kind of like the shadow version of this energy. So it could be one or both of the people, because the ascendant person could be triggering, let's say, things that haven't been explored or looked at in that other person's A house, because the A house is our shadow self, it's our hidden self. So it's like maybe the ascendant person is pulling things to the surface for the A house person if the A house person hasn't explored it. If the A house person has explored the energy within them and maybe they're comfortable with this energy, well, maybe they are bringing certain shadow things to the surface for the ascendant person, for example, because all of the signs have a light side and a shadow side, and it's like sometimes you go into the shadows first, just my opinion from what I've observed, until you activate the divine version of that energy is really what that is. So it could be happening for one or both of the parties here, but again, because it is that A house, the A house person could be, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, basically destructing the ego of the ascendant person, because again, the ascendant is that projection energy that we kind of project out there. So it's like the ascendant person will go through this transformation of the self, or getting more in tune with the deeper side of the self. And same thing, it could happen vice versa. Like, let's say the A house person has certain things that they haven't looked at that the ascendant person is bringing to the surface, things that they have hidden about themselves that maybe this is the first time they are finally expressing to another individual. So the A house person can also go through a breakdown of the ego in the sense as well, or a change or a transformation. Because the thing is, when I talk about breakdown of the ego is who we think we are. It's the constructed external personality based on our experiences. Sometimes it's what we think we want, sometimes it's what we think others want for us, sometimes it's the way we think society is and we try to fit into that mold. So it's like any sort of A house types of situations, basically what it's doing is it is helping you get in tune with the soul, is basically what that is. Like getting to the core of who you truly are as a person, and especially in this case, because it is ascendant, it's that first house, well, it's really going to be helping you get in tune with who you are as an individual and as a person. And then for the A house person, well, in that case, it's going to bring maybe certain things that they have hidden about themselves to the surface as well, because that first house energy is very much an outwardly expression type of energy is really what that is. And again, the A house could have a lot of things that they are hiding about themselves that they don't necessarily want the world to see. So that's the thing with these dynamics, the A house dynamics, there could be a lot of hidden aspects of the self that get brought to the surface. The energy could feel very much exposed or vulnerable even in these situations, but it depends how evolved are the two individuals, how evolved are the two people, because if they both are already comfortable with this energy within themselves, well, this could be a very intimate dynamic. It could be a very close dynamic. It could be a dynamic where like they just feel like they understand each other is really what that is. It could also be a dynamic where it's like the ascendant person, because sometimes that's the direction we're heading in life. Maybe the A house person helps them uncover some sort of purpose or something that they have also hidden about themselves or not known was there, or maybe a gift that they had or something of this sort is really what that is. So it's always going to be a close dynamic. It's going to be an intimate dynamic. Obviously, we have the shadow version of this energy, which absolutely can go into trigger warning things like abuse, or let's say like the A house person like really criticizing, let's say, the ascendant person in terms of like wanting to gain power and control over this person. So it's like if you are in one of those dynamics, probably the best thing to do is seek out help and see how can you get out of these situations, because it depends. If this person is behaving this way, let's say the A house person is criticizing the ascendant person's maybe even appearance, for example, because the ascendant can deal with that as well, or using certain tactics to break down that person's, for example, self-esteem or like the way that they feel about themselves. Well, in that case, if this does feel like it is maybe the dynamic that you are in, again, try to figure out how can you maybe get the help to exit this type of situation. If you guys sense this, let's say early on, and the dynamic is again that A house energy is the vortex energy. It's very attractive energetically, so it's like because there's a lot of sexual attraction that's taking place there, you might think that it's something that could be positive, but at the same time you might want to take some time to observe the other person's actions to see, are they in the lower versions of themselves? Because if the person is in the lower versions of themselves and they're not willing to do the work, well, in that particular case, for all of these videos, what I've been saying is that that person is going to project onto you because you're going to be triggering them. It's basically what it is, because these dynamics can be very triggering amongst the two people. Again, the shadows are going to come to the surface. So it's like either the two individuals are going to see this as an opportunity for growth and to work on certain things within the self that they haven't necessarily addressed, or if one of the individuals in the dynamic is not evolved and they are in that energy that I just mentioned where they blame everybody else for all of their own issues. Well, if you sense that within the person, try to maybe not entertain them or engage in this dynamic, because it's not necessarily going to get any better than that, especially if you feel like you could help them or change them or something of the sort. Like, better to just not get involved if you're able to assess the energy early on. So that's basically what it is. But if both people are evolved and both people are in tune with themselves and they've worked on themselves and they don't project onto other people and these types of things, it could very much be an intimate dynamic is really what that is. It could be a close bond. It could very much be a highly sexual bond where you guys are kind of on the same page. So it could go into that divine version. Maybe you guys talk about deep concepts and topics and you feel like maybe you found this person that fully understands you at the core. So absolutely could be in that divine version as well. Now, let's say it's in a more platonic dynamic or a family dynamic or a friendship dynamic or even like a work type of dynamic. Well, you guys might feel a lot of these power control struggles taking place between the two individuals. Let's say it's between a parent and a child. There could be like a breakdown of the ego, let's say, taking place. Let's say it's the child who has the energy that's breaking down the parent's ego, for example, or bringing a lot of their things to the surface or bringing a lot of their shadows to the surface. Like, there could be a lot of tension, for example, in this way. It's not necessarily always going to be sexual energy. There could be a lot of tension energies that take place, even if it's at work. There could be even, let's say, like power struggles going on. Let's say it's a manager and an employee type of situation. So it could manifest in this type of way as well, where it's like power struggles, ego battles, trying to control the other person, trying to manipulate, because that 8th house brings anything to the surface that deals with power, control, manipulation, fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of losing the other person, possessiveness, obsession, all of these types of energy. So it's like, even if it is in like a friendship dynamic, well, there could even be this like super strong bond where you feel like maybe you finally found a friend that fully gets you and you don't want to lose that friend. So it's like maybe you're trying to control that person in one way, shape, or form to keep them around. So it's like it could manifest in all types of different situations and dynamics. But that's the overall idea here with the 8th house. This is basically what is going to take place, one version of these energies. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here on the Ascendant in the 8th house Synastry. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.